So the other day, I asked you guys to drop some of your hottest Blue Lock takes on a community discussion that I posted, and goddamn, a lot more of you commented than I expected. Thankfully too, because this video would not have been possible without your help, so for real, shout out to you guys, and let's get straight into this. Really quick though, before we actually do get into it, we just hit 5,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you all so much for your continued support on the channel, and I promise from the bottom of my heart, I'm going to do everything I can do to bring you guys the best possible content for your viewing pleasure. Alright, and now with all the formalities out the way, you know the drill, grab yourself some snacks, fill up your cups, and Jesus Christ, dude, I'm flattered, but pull your pants up. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Restless Gambler says Shido's flow is the best we've seen in the entire series so far. Now it is for sure debatable because we haven't really seen too many people get into the flow yet, but I do see where you're coming from saying that Shido has the strongest flow in the entire series. Once he was able to actually reach the flow, he pulled off one of the most impressive goals we've seen. His quote-unquote super goal bicycle kick was one of the greatest things that we have seen in the entirety of the manga so far, and honestly might have been impressive enough to give Shido the best flow we've seen so far. However, I do think it is debatable with Rin, who was on par with Itoshi Sai. However, it is heavily implied that Sai was holding back, so for now, sure, Shido does have the best flow that we've seen in the entire series so far. Joseph Joestar says Hiyori and Kurano will play alongside each other, and both of them will be used in a super play by Isagi. Imagine an evolution of the Planet Hotline using 3 players instead of 1. Now this is something I actually really do like, especially if you've seen the new leaks for chapter 205. The way the manga leaves off is with one final shot of Hiyori, who does appear to be pretty let down based on how he's been used so far. And not gonna lie, he hasn't really gotten the best treatment. We haven't seen too much from him, but I do think that will change soon, and you don't seem to be far off here. I can totally see an evolution of the Planet Hotline, maybe like a galactic hotline or something like that. Whatever you want to say, I was just trying to keep it in the same theme. But honestly, I'd love to see anything from Hiyori at this point. He's been a character that people have noted is super slept on in the verse, yet we still haven't seen much from him, and much like you, I really hope that changes soon. Tax says Baro has the best ego out of everybody in Blue Lock. Now, while I do think this may be true, you kind of have to examine ego on like almost all kinds of levels. First off, you have someone like Isagi, whose ego at this point is literally just winning at all costs, as opposed to someone like Baro, who's completely selfish and his ego is straight up his own ego. He doesn't give a shit about winning or losing, he just thinks he's that good and all he wants to do is play for himself. So I can understand and honestly agree with you to an extent that Baro does have the best ego in the entirety of the series. However, 2 people who actually do believe pose a threat would be Itoshi Sai and Shido Ryusei. Itoshi Sai obviously has one of the biggest egos in the entirety of the Blue Lock world, deeming every single forward in Japan unfit to receive his passes. That was until Shido Ryusei came along, and the only reason I have to note Shido is because even Ego himself admitted that Shido Ryusei is an anomaly that nobody in Blue Lock can control. So if I was to go against you, I would propose Shido does have a better ego than Baro, but like I said, it's up for debate depending on how you want to look at it, so I see where you're coming from saying Baro. Bitey Mitgar says Kunigami will regain his superhero mentality in the PXG game, possibly by devouring Ryusei, with help from Isagi, of course. Now, I feel like you're not too far off of this, but hear me out really quick. I've been kind of dying to share this theory. I can totally see Kunigami returning to his superhero ways. However, what I do see as being more likely is him becoming sort of an anti-hero at this point. I think he's been broken a little too far past complete repair, so seeing him as somewhat of a broken anti-hero, seeing him try to regain that superhero side of himself could be an interesting character development for Kunigami in the future. But the biggest thing I do want to take away from this is Shido's involvement. As we all know, Shido is the one who single-handedly sent Kunigami packing all the way down to the wild card back in the second selection. Now we know that Kunigami's been chomping at the bit just to get his get back on Shido because you know these two really don't like each other. But this actually ties into another prediction. L Goblinax says Chigiri will have his second UCL tear at the U20 tournament. Now the reason I want to tie this in is because I'm thinking somewhat along the lines of it. I don't think you're correct here, Mr. Goblin. I don't think Chigiri's going to get injured at the U20 tournament. He's going to get injured in the Manchan versus PXG game. As we all know, the next matchup coming up is going to be Bastard versus the Ubers. While Manchan takes on PXG, we all know Shido to be a little bit of a demonic presence on the field, and he's not afraid to attack players if he has to, or just even wants to for that matter. What I think is going to happen is Shido is intentionally going to go after Chigiri and purposely try to injure him, leading to his second UCL tear, ending his soccer career and his dreams for the future. It's going to be a truly heartbreaking moment, especially because Chigiri's really become a fan favorite, and he just got a really big amp in the Manchan City game. But I feel like all this is going to serve to do is lead to the complete evolution of Kunigami Rensuke, as hopefully we can see him devour Shido and get his get back once and for all, because I do honestly feel like he deserves it at this point. Jester says Bachiro Bachira is, besides Sai, the best all-arounder in U20. Now I see where you're coming from because they both kind of just resemble good midfielders, but I have to disagree with you here. Bachira is not the best all-around player, and if I'm being honest, he's not even in the top 3. Immediately when you say the best all-rounders in the series, obviously Sai's the first person that comes to mind, but 2 others are his brother Reen and actually Baro. I don't really need to talk about Reen. We all know how good he is. He's literally the standard for the series. I think that's kind of how we all see him. That's Isagi's main rival. It's always going to be. But Baro has been stated many times to be not only one of the strongest and fastest players in the facility, but has really advanced dribbling, good spatial awareness, and an insane damn near 30-meter shot range. When you got guys like Reen and Baro around, I honestly don't think that Bachira can be seen as the best all-rounder. But hey, you can think what you want to think, man. I just don't think it's correct. God damn it, Obama. Wow, that's a name and a half. Says authors have been nerfing Nagi hard AF. Now I can kind of see where you're coming from, but at the same time, what the fuck are you talking about? He just scored one of the most insane and once-in-a-lifetime goals in the entirety of the series. Like, I don't think anyone's going to score a goal that is technically more impossible than that. But I do see where you're coming from because he kind of got fucked up by Isagi in the closing stages. And the goal that I already mentioned has been kind of pushed off as a fluke by Ego. Nonetheless, he still is the number 2 in the entire Neo-Egoist League rankings for the Blue Locks. So I don't think we can say he's been nerfed just yet. Big Fundamental says Isagi will sub off during the Ubers game due to his obsession to get a goal and trying to prove that he's better. This is something that I can completely see. Isagi's kind of been on his demon timing recently, and honestly, I really expect it to backfire against the Ubers. Like I said in my Ubers video, I don't think Isagi's going to score in the game. Hell, I actually don't think he's going to score in the entirety of the Neo-Egoist League. I know that's going to be a hot take, but you can kind of see it. It's clear to everybody at this point that even though he wants to be a striker, Isagi is clearly meant to be a midfielder. Something I can see him doing is going along the path of Atoshi Sai. However, instead of Sai just strictly wanting to be a midfielder, he becomes more of a central attacking midfielder, pressing the point, making sure that his main purpose is to finish off with his own goal. However, he doesn't mind being the playmaker and dishing out assists to anyone that can score. That's why I think this is actually very likely of happening, due to the fact that his obsession with goals is going to be seen as a negative, causing him to reflect leading into the PXG game, leading to him understanding that he can't be as goal hungry as he has been so far. He has to do whatever he has to do to win. That's just the evolution that I think we're going to see Isagi go down, and I think it starts in the Ubers match, and you're not too far off here. Avocado253 says Shido isn't even top 5 players. Yeah, not right now. I want to reiterate this. It's solely due to the fact that he has not been seen in the Neo-Egoist League so far. If I was to give a top 5 right now, at least what we've seen in the league so far, Atoshi Sai and Kaiser is still up top. Baro's going to be number 3, Isagi coming in at number 4, and in the 5th spot, I like to put Oliver Aiku. I feel like his defense is completely slept on, and the fact that he is the single best two-way player in the entirety of the show does not get him nearly the credit he deserves. So yeah, for now, I can agree with you. Shido is not in the top 5, and I don't think he's going to be for a little bit, but we're going to have to wait and see for the PXG game. Pay to Forfeit says Nico is going to have Metavision in the Uvers vs Bastard match. Now this is something I'm actually hoping for. I already made the prediction that I think Nico is going to have Metavision when the Ubers match finally comes along, or an overall defensive Metavision, because as we know, the defense is going to be crazy and Italy is really strict on tactics. Nevertheless, I honestly have to agree with you on this one. I can totally see Nico having some sort of Metavision, as well as almost all the other defenders for the Ubers, potentially reaching some sort of linked flow state. Sinister says, as of right now, the only striker that can compete with Reen and Shido in pure goal scoring ability is Baro, and that won't change for a while. Now I do see where you're coming from. Reen, Shido, and Baro are definitely the 3 best people that can come to mind when you think of pure strikers in the series. They have the size, ability, and dominance to all be considered number 1, but come on. There's a world-class elephant in the room, and you have to acknowledge him. As long as he has Kaiser impact, Michael Kaiser is going to be the best striker in all of Blue Lock, and that's not going to change for a while. I promise you that. And finally, Cubic Mushroom says, my prediction is when Snuffy and Noel are both on the field, Snuffy is going to overall outplay Noel Noah in the match. Now this is one I actually really do like, and it's why I chose it to be last, because I wanted to discuss it for a little bit. One thing I've already admitted is that I'm super excited for the eventual debut of Mark Snuffy in Blue Lock. He's one of the most mysterious and honestly intriguing, in my opinion, characters that we've been introduced to in the entirety of the manga so far. And as well as the Ubers, I do feel like his debut is going to be huge. Leading up to this point in the Neo-Egoist League, we have not seen Noel Noah be outplayed by anybody, and I feel like if anybody is going to do it, it's going to be the Crown Messenger. With Italy's emphasis on tactics, I feel like Snuffy is definitely going to have Metavision. He's going to be like a satellite on the field where he knows every single thing that's going on at every single moment on a higher plane that both Kaiser and Isagi can't comprehend at this point. With that said, I do feel like it is completely possible for the world's number 1 to be outplayed by Mark Snuffy in this case, and you never know, maybe Chris Prince isn't the rightful number 2, Mark Snuffy might hold that title, as his tactics could lead to him devouring Noel tell Noah in this one-on-one confrontation. But like everything else in this video, I don't know for now. We're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Okay, everybody, and that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much to every single one of you who tuned in. As always, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel with post notifications turned on so you never miss another upload from me again. Let me know what you thought about this hot takes video. I honestly kind of like this idea and I want to do a little bit more. So if you actually do want to see more, make sure to drop some of your hot takes in the comments down below, as well as what you thought about some of the discussions I posed in this video. With that said, thank you guys for tuning in as always, and that's all I got for you today. Love you guys. Take it easy.